So, I've been watching videos on new bows that have been coming out, which I've been kind of interested. I bought this bow, I don't know, a few months back, the V3X from Mathews, and I love this bow. I love shooting it. I love going out and shooting in my side yard. I really love it. I'm looking into getting a new sight. Um, there's just nothing bad I could say about this bow. But Mathews released a 2023, and they're calling it the Phased, and the most silent bow they've ever made. Now, this new bow they come out with, they've got 4 limbs at the top, okay? So they got 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and then they have a piece of rubber down the middle of them, which in turn is to help silence the bow. And then they have what's called a bridge lock stabilizer, and that's where you run a bar, you know, out here, and you run a bar. I don't use them. I don't use any stabilizers at all. I don't feel any vibration. I don't feel anything when I shoot my bow. Now, maybe someday I'll try one, but what's the point of adding extra weight? Now, their bridge lock stabilizer goes on the 2023 bow. They completely changed. I mean, it looks like it's a machine part. You add some little weights to it. I think it's way overpriced. But they go from $249 to $269. So you think if you add 2 bars to your bow, you're in the 500 plus. Probably 600. $600 for 2 bars that they say is going to stabilize it. And when you figure a bow runs, so I think they're charging $1,300 out the door, and then you run another $600 just for 2 bars, and that does not include a sight. That doesn't include your nothing. I mean, literally, you're going to be into a $2,500 to $3,000 bow just to get what they're saying is the most silent bow they ever made. Now, every single person that uploads a video on these bows is normally from people that sell bows. And of course, you're literally watching a commercial. I mean, everyone's saying this is the greatest bow that's ever been released. It don't matter if it's Hoyt, it don't matter if it's Mathews. This is the best bow. Oh, look what they did here. Oh, the pullback is amazing. I mean, I'm just sitting there shaking my head. Go back and if you're into archery, go back and look at videos from 2018. Literally search for 2018 bows. And listen to those same guys sit back and say, oh, this is the best bow that's ever been made. And then go back and look at 2019, 2000. It's the same rhetoric over and over from these guys. So there's nothing that's showing me anything. The other problem I have, one guy I seen was shooting the 223 phase with this last year's model's bow, and I was like, finally, I'm going to get to hear how silent it is. I didn't hear anything. Why isn't anybody using a machine to test the sound? Why don't they put a machine up there, tell me what the decibels are, walk 20 yards, tell me what the decibels are, walk 30 yards, tell me what the decibels are, and shoot 3 or 4 different types of bows? Why doesn't somebody shoot 3 or 4 different types of company bows? If we're all gung-ho about making things quiet, then why ain't people doing that? It seems like a ploy or a scam to me. It's almost like, well, I guess I'm going to have to go down there and try it. No. I have another problem with the Phased that everybody's bragging about so much. You see, with the Phased, they got 4 limbs, right? They got 2 limbs on this side, 2 limbs on this side, and then they got a piece of rubber they squash in between. And that's what's dampening the sound, is what they got. Okay, so I started looking at that. Now, in all my 60 years of life, rubber deteriorates. I don't care what it is. I got to change my windshield wipers at least every 3 to 5 years. Um, when things sit, rubber deteriorates. It starts to fray. It starts to fall apart. I mean, my rubber hose in my washer, the inside, was actually coming apart in pieces after 10 years. It almost broke my washer. So it doesn't matter what I've ever seen in my life of rubber, it falls apart. The more rubber gets cold, the more it gets hot. I mean, these are just things that go on. When I look at my B3X, there's no rubber on this thing. I mean, I got little doodads here for vibration that I can pop out and pop in, I can replace. Um, when I look at other things, I can replace my strings. I'm not seeing anything that's really going to deteriorate over a long period of time. So, how good is that 2023 phased? Okay, I'm going to get, what do they say, 15%? I don't know, more silent? And it seems to be, a lot of the bow manufacturers seems to be leaning toward that. But my V3X is really not, it doesn't make that much noise. It really doesn't. I mean, when I shoot this thing, a squirrel doesn't even know it's coming. And I'm like, so what's the big deal with the noise? I'm not getting it. And it seems like every year they release a bow, and I think that's a bit too much, to be honest with you. I don't know why they're releasing brand new bows every year. That just seems kind of ridiculous. I mean, they'd probably be better off to release one every 3 years and come out with some amazing stuff. But I'm not all gung ho with that rubber in between the limbs. I'm not really seeing how that's going to last for a long period of time, or if there's going to be issues with it. What happens if it gets chipped in part of it? Is it really going to rattle now? I'm just not seeing that being a very long life. With the V3X, it's going to take a beating. Now, I can put little rubber things on the top in between my limbs here, which helps with dampening the sound a little bit. And they're $20. Where they're putting a rubber in between and smashing it. And the comments are something else. Especially the comments I see on these videos with the bridge lock stabilizer. They're trying to get excited about the stabilizers that are anywhere from $249 to $269 a piece, and some special little weight system on it. But I don't think the hunters are falling for it, because some of them are saying, oh my God, that's like $700 in stabilizers. Are they crazy? And you're going to see this a lot more, because next year we're going to be in a recession. I mean, you just know it's coming. Take a look at the businesses. You've got Amazon laying off 11,000. You've got Twitter laying off, I don't know, 10,000. You've got, it's just business after business after business. You are going to see mass layoffs after December. And it's going to bring us right down in the recession, and nobody's going to have the money they have to buy stuff. So, what Mathews probably should have worked on, or maybe some of these other bow companies, is how do you take a $1,200 bow and turn it into a $600 bow and still have the same features you need? That would have been a much smarter marketing idea. But the way they're going with trying to make flagship bows as expensive as they can, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would not buy a 2023 phased with that rubber in there. I just wouldn't. I just see too many issues with that in the long run. I would go buy the V3X. You can get these on eBay all day long for $1,000. I mean, when they first came out, they were 1,200. I would go buy last year's model, is what I would do. And it's funny, when they release a flagship bow, oh, you can't buy them online. I hear that all the time with bows. But yet you wait a year, you can buy last year's model online on eBay or anywhere there is. You're better off to buy last year's model. Unless you're the type of guy that says, I got to have the latest and the greatest. Now, if I wanted to, I could take my V3X and I could sell it. Let's say I sold it for $1,000. Well, I throw another $300 in, and I can go buy the new 2023 Phase bow with the so-called fancy silencing system. I would have done that if it would have seemed worth it to me. But it really doesn't seem worth it to me. I just don't see it. Now maybe I'm going to piss off a lot of fanboys with Mathews, but and I even seen one guy saying, "Oh my God, that's $700, in those stabilizer rods." One guy said that is crazy. And of course, you always get that person who writes the comment and says, "Well, nobody's twisting your arm to buy it." I don't think they get it. He was just pointing out that's pretty expensive for the regular working man. And that's just what he was saying. But somebody always wants to jump in there and be super sarcastic. And that really makes no sense to me. I don't think the 2023 phased Mathews bow is worth the price they're saying. I think they went up $100. They're like $1,300 out the door. So wait till next year. It'll be $1,100. I don't know. But from what I'm seeing, it's just not worth it with the bridge lock system. I'm really not. And then I'm wondering how loud it would be. Like right now, it's 23 Fahrenheit in Tennessee, which is -5 Celsius. I really wonder how that would shoot in super cold weather. What would that rubber do? Would it get super hard? Would there be noise then? I mean, because when people bow hunt, they bow hunt all year round, especially when you start getting up north. So, and I don't see one person doing this. I don't see one person taking the bow outside, leave it outside for 3 hours, and then go and shoot it, and then go register the decibels. Shoot it with the V3X. Shoot it with the 2023. Really put it through the trial, and let's see how loud it really is. Don't sit in some room where it's all controlled with heat and everything, and then shoot it and say, "Oh yeah, that's really quiet." Bullshit. Go shoot it outside after it's been out there for 3 hours, and let's hear how that rubber sounds. Does it get hard? Is it a soft rubber? I mean, they press that between the two limbs. I just don't see that bow lasting or taking a beating like the V3X does. When I bought this V3X, it was because I like the system where you hook a string on the wheels at both ends, and you could take this old string off and put a new string on right out in the field. If my peep is not lined up, I can hook that up, twist my string right when I'm sitting in a tree stand, and fix it when I'm out there. I love that. I completely love it. And that's part of the reason that sold me toward that bow, because of how much maintenance I can do on the go. But in the 2023 phased bow of Mathews does have that same system. There isn't a lot of things that change from this bow to that bow, other than their stabilizer bars and changing the limbs. I don't know. I'm just not impressed with it. So, if any of you so-called bow stores out there, and I've watched hundreds of videos, want to actually do shit right instead of just making a 7 or 8 minute video, and get off your ass, put the friggin' bow outside for 3 hours, go get a meter for $30, and start checking sound levels, and actually show what these bows really can do. Nobody's doing that. Every time I look at this whole mess, I'm like, it's just one commercial after another commercial after another commercial. And it's a bunch of bullshit. It's not working for me. It's not selling to me. I mean, not when it's commercials. Show me some real points of view on why that bow's better than this one. And show me how it's going to handle the heat, how it's going to handle the cold. Show me what that rubber's going to do. But I'm not seeing it. If somebody else could convince me differently, by all means. But rubber wears out. Always has, always will. Catch you guys on the next one.